guys, what is up? It's Megan, and today I'm going to be doing a top 5 video. And in this top 5 video, I'm going to be showing you my favorite books overall out of the past couple of years. I would have to say that these have stuck in my mind the longest, and these have been my favorite books. So my fifth favorite book and series of all time has to be Divergent by Veronica Roth. I love this book so much. I haven't finished Insurgent yet, and I don't know when I'm going to finish Insurgent. I've been spoiled on what happens in Allegiant, and it broke my heart so much. I just need some time to collect myself and be able to jump into that. But Divergent, I've read this, I think I've read it thoroughly once and then some of it twice, like just skimming through and rereading some parts. And I love this book. I love the concept of this book. I love everything about this book. This book just has so much in it, so much like world building and so much cool stuff that's happening that it's never been done before in a book. My fourth favorite book of all time is The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. Oh, John Green, how you have destroyed me. I finished this a little while ago, and then the other day I just decided, you know what, I kind of want to reread the last part. I'm going to reread it again. Maybe, just maybe, I won't be completely emotionally scarred because I know what happens. I've already seen what happens. I'm not going to be completely destroyed, am I? Oh, how wrong was I? Even knowing what happens and even knowing the story ending and reading it before, probably twice, I still cried at the end of this. Again, for the second time, I cried. And it just pulled something so emotional out of me when I read these last couple of pages. And this book sticks with you. After you're done reading it, you can't stop thinking about it. So I chose this book as number 4 because John Green is a god, and this book just made me feel something that I never thought a book could make me feel. Like, I've of course cried in books before. I've been just like heartbroken at some things, but then I've never read a book that ended like this one. And I hope, if you haven't read this book, please go out and get it right this very second. I beg of you, because it's hard not to say the spoilers. And if you haven't been spoiled on what happens in the end, then good for you. Even though this book destroyed me at the end, throughout the rest of it in the very beginning, it was so humorous. I loved Hazel's like outtake on life. It's just, I guess when you are like living so young with cancer, you just kind of have a different outlook on life, and you're kind of sarcastic about it, because if you're not sarcastic about it and poking fun at yourself, then you're just going to wallow in your own self-pity, and she doesn't want to do that. I've rambled on this book way too much. Love John Green, love The Fault in Our Stars, can't wait to love more of his books. My third favorite book is Just Listen by Sarah Dessen. Now, I read this book. It was my first Sarah Dessen novel ever. I read this book like a year ago. I had no idea that Sarah Dessen's novels had so much like depth to them. Just looking at these covers over here, and it's just, you don't think that Sarah Dessen's novels are going to have like some like heart heavy things in it, but it does. They touch on so many different topics, and even though they are contemporary novels, it's just really nice. I love Sarah Dessen. I'm on my 5th book by her right now. I'm actually currently reading it, but this still is my favorite from the beginning, even though I've read 5 of her books now. The first one I ever read of her was just amazing. I love the relationship between Annabelle and Owen. How can you not like a lovely contemporary read like this? It was amazing and beautiful, and it was one of the first books I read when I was starting to read again, and it seriously just made me want to read even more. So thank you, Sarah Dessen and Just Listen, for helping me get into the groove of reading. My second favorite book and series of all time is The Hunger Games, and my favorite book out of that is Catching Fire. Now, I know it's not the popular opinion. I don't think a lot of people liked Catching Fire the best because the first part was slow, but then you get into it, and you get into it, okay? It just goes crazy, and action, and it's just the last half of this book is just like boom, 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 and just like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? Peeta, Peeta, no, Peeta! Peeta! And yeah, I loved this book. Speaking of books that got you back into reading, I read Twilight, which is down here. I don't know if you can see that. And that was the first series I had read like basically ever. I wasn't a huge reader as a child. I picked up Twilight thinking I was gonna like it because my cousin liked it and I did like it at the time. But other than that series, I had never read anything else. I didn't know quite what to do. I read a couple books here and there and nothing really stuck with me. And I read some like books on the Kindle that are kind of obscure that I just found. And then this was the first major book that I read after Twilight. And it was amazing. This feeling of like reading these books. I finished the entire trilogy within the span of a week and a half. It took me 2 days to finish Catching Fire. I was like 4 days for Hunger Games, 2 days for Catching Fire, and 4 or 5 days for Mockingjay. And that was the fastest I've ever read anything. Now it takes me a week to finish a book, maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks, depending on what I have to do. But before that, it took me like 3 or 2 weeks to finish Twilight, like 4 weeks to finish New Moon because that was slow and boring. That was crazy for me. I had never finished a book that fast, 2 days, and then a series that fast either. It was crazy. This book really got me into quickly reading like I am now. Not that I'm quickly reading now. I read like a book a week. But you know what? That is okay for me because I used to not read at all. So Catching Fire is amazing. Susan Collins likes to toy with my emotions, and it's okay because I forgive her because she gave me this beautiful baby right here. Now this final book, I had a hard time deciding out of the series which book to say. This is my favorite. This is the book I'm going to flaunt. And I had a hard time deciding which one it is because I liked all of them so much. But I decided in the end that this one just had to be the one shown. And that was City of Glass by Cassandra Clare. The Mortal Instruments being my favorite thing ever. I love The Mortal Instruments. I love Cassandra Clare. I love everything about it. And I know some people like to bash The Mortal Instruments because City Bones is not that great. What are you guys talking about? Okay, City Bones was good, alright? It was pretty good. I really liked that book. But you have to get into City of Ashes before you judge the series because City of Ashes is where everything happens. Just stuff goes crazy and you get so much world building and excitement, and that's the book where it happens. Usually the second book in a series is like you go first book in a series, second book in a series, third book in a series, depending on the series, right? But no, it was City of Bones, City of Ashes, City of Glass, I don't live on. It's like crazy. I loved it so much. And City Glass, I actually did not physically read most of this book. I listened to it on audio when I was driving to and from school, so it took me approximately 2 weeks to read or listen to this book. But I absorbed the characters so much, and I loved this so much. I've never read a series this big before, and it's 5 books now. It's going to be 6 books in May, and I'm actually going to be rereading the entire series before May, so probably starting in April I'm going to start rereading these books again and then start reading the Clockwork series after I finish Heavenly Fire. But anyways, this series just has its ups and its ups and its ups and its ups, and the characters develop and they change over time, and we like start every book in every couple chapters we start peeling layers of the onion of these characters. You hate these characters one moment, then love them the next moment. You start feeling sympathy for some of these characters and then realize how awful they are, and you want to just throw the book at the wall, but you don't want to ruin the actual book, so you like mentally throw it at the wall, but it's not quite satisfying enough, so you just like end up throwing like a pin or something. Just me. This series is my life. I love this series. Seriously, if you have not read these, don't knock before you try it. Pick up the first 2 books. Read City of Bones with an open mind. Then go into City of Ashes and delve into that. And if you don't like it after City of Ashes, then you can stop. That's fine. But you have to give the first 2 books a chance before you completely knock the series. So that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Tell me your top 5 books/book series ever down in the comments below if you want to. That'd be really cool. Ta-ta for now. Goodbye!